A very good day to everyone. Thank you for participating in the Capital Link event. Today's panel discussion is in conjunction with the Singapore Maritime Week. My name is Terence Zhao from Singhai Marine Services. Singhai is a cruise supply and cruise solution provider to many international ship owners and managers. Our core supply is Chinese crew, and we also provide non-Chinese crew to our customers. The topic for today's discussion is what seafarers crewing strategies are shipping companies going to adopt as the geopolitical tension and the economic uncertainties intensify. We all know that currently there are a lot of headwinds facing the shipping industry. In addition to supply chain and logistical disruption due to the pandemic, we are now facing the Russian and Ukrainian conflict. To operate the vessel safely and efficiently, quality crew are always required. But as we thought that we are gradually adopting to the new norm for crew change in a pandemic world, we are now faced more challenges as the geopolitical risks have created. Surely, we are very concerned about the economic uncertainties too. Today, we are very glad to have a panel of experts here from various segments of the shipping companies to share about how they manage their fleet during this period of economic uncertainties. All of us are very concerned about the Russian and Ukrainian conflict affecting the shipping industry, and we all hope to draw some insights from our experts panelists here. They are going to share with us in the discussion about their crewing strategies in this uncertainties time. Now I'm very honored to introduce our four distinguished panelists. Captain Ashish, Mediratta, Head of Crewing, Fleet Management and Technology, Maersk. Captain Ashish is actually responsible for management of crew on board Maersk owned vessels, involved in strategy related to development of seafarers for the future manning of Maersk vessels. Our second panel lists Captain Farid Khan. He's the director, HR director of Eaglestar Group. Captain Farid Khan oversees the entire spectrum of human resources, which includes training and development for all staff at sea and shore. Our third panelist, Captain Lim Swee. Captain Lim is the head of Wallenius Marine Singapore. He's also the chairman of SMEF, Singapore Maritime Employers Federation. Our final panelist is Captain Faouzi. Captain Faouzi is a crewing and training director of Clean Bear Ship Management Group. Let's warmly welcome the four captains on board our panel. Today we have four captains on board. I feel very safe. So now let's begin our discussion. I have some questions. First, I would like to ask what nationalities of crew you have on board and what are your current concerns and challenges? Shall we start from Captain Ashish? Captain Ashish, please.
Thank you, Terence. First of all, I would like to thank you and the organizers for this panel discussion, and also a warm welcome to my fellow panelists. And I think I would also take away a few learnings with the experienced people in this call, right? So I really look forward to the next 40 minutes or so we have. Coming back to your question, so Maersk globally employs over 12,500 plus seafarers. And with a huge number, for sure, our footprint is spread across various countries and more or less across all continents. So we are primarily employing in Europe. If I start from, I can start from one end, Denmark, Germany, Holland, UK, and then we go down to South Africa. where we do have a sizable population. And then coming, of course, Romania, Ukraine are an integral part of our pool. And then coming to Asia, we are primarily, sourcing out of India and Philippines, and also a significantly decent number out of China and Myanmar. Maybe a small number here and there from Indonesia or Sri Lanka, etc. But those are very small numbers. So our spread currently is based on the flags we have is Danish, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So we have these three flag vessels, and we operate around 300 plus ships. And having around 40 nationalities on board, of course not on one ship but across, does come with a lot of benefit, where we are able to get diversity angle on our fleet, different working culture. So there's a lot to learn for the seafarers, but it does come with a few challenges when you start to manage COVID, right? 40 different regulations you need to know because of so many countries, and then they're joining in 50 more countries. So you're basically sitting like a UN knowing everything over there. And coming to your question on this challenges, so I think as of today, COVID, while it is reduced, I think is still an issue in flying our seafarers across from point A to point B. Some companies, some countries are opening up, whereas some are still, I would say, in the rules which were set 2 years back, and they haven't evolved, right? So I think the worry for me is for the seafarers to be able to go home on time, while we have a very small percentage, just less than one who's over their contractual period. So I think we have controlled that well. And for sure, the Ukraine and Russia war has its own impact and implications, because we do employ over around 500 Ukrainian seafarers and around 70 Russian seafarers. So we do see that as an impact, and we're working on various things to mitigate that. Thank you, Terence.
Thank you, Captain Ashish. So with a fleet of 300 over vessels, many operate definitely be a big challenge. Since the last 2 years, I think every shipping companies having the same kind of headache. Thank you very much for sharing, Captain Ashish. So what about Eaglestar, Captain Faouzi? We know Eaglestar actually is in host manager of MRC fleet and also AT fleet, and also yours actually on a different type of vessel, the wet cargo and also gas carrier. So you have to meet the metrics requirements for crewing. So can you share with us about your current crewing practice, and what will be the challenges you are facing now? Now, because of this Russian-Ukrainian conflict, this conflict will have any impact on your crewing side?
Thank you, Terence, and thank you all the maritime stakeholders that is joining us today. And I'm proud to be in this panel. Eaglestar has over 30 nationalities of crew that we actually employ on our very focused energy transportation business, from liquid cargo, LNG, and also our very large ethane carriers as well, the VLECs. I think like Captain Ashish mentioned, the diversity and inclusion part, I think it's a standard now for shipping companies, and it is the model that most ship managers and ship owners are actually using to run their vessels safely, and it is something that we have to look at it from a risk perspective and manage it. I think the biggest challenge that we have, I would say, is the mental wellness of our seafarers, and it is an ongoing piece that because of the pandemic, it created this issue that is actually, even though COVID is going away, it is still affecting us. There are a lot of crews and officers and ratings that is hesitant to rejoin back. We're seeing a big number that is taking much longer leave today. So adding to the COVID complications and logistics nightmare that has improved slightly, I would say. We also have the Ukraine-Russian conflict that is adding to that, and then the mental wellness of the seafarers and the hesitancy to return back to normal rotation. So this is creating sort of a perfect storm of creating again another difficulty and challenge for us to actually have a normal rotation back on our ships, and that is something that we need to address. I think at the holistic level, at the higher level, we need to really look at how we're going to move forward as an industry. I think modernization of how we recruit, how we look at our talent pool, building up the new talent pool is still very challenging. I think there's a lot of ad hoc and after effect management that's being done. We need to think longer term, I believe, in moving forward. Heightening the visibility of the seafaring as a career needs to be relooked at as well, especially with the challenges that we are seeing today, so that we will have a sustainable pool moving forward. I think that's going to be key for us. You mentioned about the energy sector, the metrics compliance. I think that is a challenge that is made worse by these limitations that we have. But in Eaglestar, what we have done is actually we have looked at our pool of seafarers and say that let's look at the current pool and let's reskill, let's retool our current seafarers so that they are much more what we call a universal seafarer. So we can actually transfer them from the conventional oil to the gas fleet to our DP shuttle tanker fleet. So we will then have a little bit more flexibility in managing the metrics compliance, as well as having in-house talent that we can actually circulate and utilize as we move forward. So our strategy is actually to look at our seafarers as a holistic talent pool right across, rather than segmentize and focus only in one type of ship. And that actually restrict them from a career perspective as well. So this is actually a win-win right across. So that is what we are doing today, and I'm looking forward to hearing from the other members of the panel on how we can work together to move our shipping industry forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Captain Farid. I have some other questions later on. I'll come back to you. So, okay, Captain Lim, please. Captain Lim, I think you mic, yeah. Okay, maybe we start from Captain Faouzi. Captain Faouzi, here I please all the four panelists. I think you're very different from others because Columbia is a third-party ship management company, managing nearly 400 vessels, almost covering all type of vessels. I'm sure you definitely facing some very unique challenge, which is a bit different from the normal ship owners. Would you like please to share with us your challenges and how actually you manage your challenges nowadays?
Thanks, Terence. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Also, a pleasure really to be invited here and to meet my colleagues from other companies and to have this opportunity to hear also what they do. And it's very interesting actually so far. Colombia ship management, as you mentioned rightfully, we have more than 400 ships of different types and sizes and different areas. We have a pool of more than 14,000 seafarers, big range of nationalities. There is no any restriction in Colombia when it comes to nationality or age or ethnic or any segregation between our crew. So I think Captain Lim is in the screen, Terence.
Yes. You can continue first.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. With this variety and diversity of nationalities, of course, we have some flexibility, which helped us a lot in a time of crisis, especially when COVID started. The majority of our seafarers is mainly from the Philippines, where we have a big number of ratings. We have also a large number of officers from Eastern Europe. And that includes Russia, Ukraine, Georgia, Romania, so many other countries in that area where we have our manning agencies and recruitment centers established for many, many years. When we had the COVID situation, as Captain Khan mentioned, and also Captain Ashish, is really a diverse and fluidic environment which we had to go through it, and the change of regulations and the restrictions on certain nationalities, restrictions on airport and so on, which we still have some of them, of course. We are carrying on a lot of this. It's not completely over. But somehow that diversity of the pool helped us a lot to manage our challenges there. So when we had takeovers in China, for example, a big number of takeovers in the dry docks in China, the relations we had in China helped us a lot, but also the fact that we had nationalities who were allowed the time to travel to China was a big advantage. Then we had also the peak of the pandemic in India. Colombia, we do not employ big number of Indian seafarers. It's picking up, but not as I think as same like my colleagues here. But definitely we were very well established in other markets when India had a lot of challenges. Philippines in general is a very resilient country. So despite all the pandemic and all the crisis which happened, somehow the Philippines, the Filipino seafarers always managed to get to the ships, which was a huge advantage for us, having a big pool and large pool in the Philippines, and we certainly hope it continues like that or even gets better. From another hand, the war now, which is between Ukraine and in which is happening in the Ukraine, definitely it's affecting us. We have thousands of Ukrainian and Russian seafarers, majority of officers, and we have always accepted to have them mixed on board our ships. Historically, that was definitely acceptable and normal. Luckily, most of our officers and also a big number of our ratings are many, many years with us, Terence. So the loyalty to the company and the fact they've been serving on board our ships or our clients' ships for many years helped us tremendously to manage this war and this conflict. So luckily, so far on board the ships, the situation is very professional. We don't know about any significant issue until today, which is really great to see how seafarers in general, not only the Russians and Ukrainians, they're very professional people. It's a good image for our industry. The biggest challenge, though, is that the martial law in Ukraine, where any male between the age of 18 and 60 cannot leave the country, which of course we understand it's a country decision and we fully respect that. However, this might come with huge challenges in the near future if there will be no peaceful solution for this war. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Faouzi. So a bit interesting. I heard some of your ships actually you have both the Ukraine and Russian crew on board the same ship. So are they okay now? Are they getting along with each other after the conflict happened?
Well, the best way when you have various nationalities on board the ship who do not share the same political opinions is not to discuss politics. And we recommend to our seafarers not to discuss the war. And we keep reminding them. We send very often video messages by our CEO so almost weekly basis. We keep talking to our crew. We call the ships from directors levels very frequently, and we discuss with our captains, and our captains have frequent meetings with all the crew, not to discuss the war, but to discuss how can we live together professionally until this crisis is sorted out. It's working. I hope it will continue to work, definitely. We hope, of course, that this war will not last for too long to become a challenge also for the relations on board the ship.
Okay, I heard some of the Ukraine crew already extended their service contract on board. So, assuming if the war conflict continue for a few more months, so how actually you can arrange the Ukraine crew back their home? So once they complete the contract. Then another issue I heard for Russian officer now, many companies having a problem for the payment of their monthly salary, right? So how do you manage this problem?
Sorry, the last question I didn't hear. Some Russians?
The payment of salary for Russian crew.
Yeah. Okay. I will answer in because you have few questions. So the first question is how to repatriate the Ukrainians. Well, the Ukrainians are rarely going back to Ukraine. Those who are repatriated. Of course, I think you heard all of my colleagues as well. I'm sure that the industry already, and very quickly, and I'm very proud about our industry this time, very quickly, there were solutions coming from P&I clubs, from different organizations, and also unions, how to handle the repatriation of the Ukrainians. And that was extremely helpful that we start to sing the same song very quickly. So this is, sorry, this is, sorry, one second.
You start earning from the ship.
Yeah, yeah. This is of course was very helpful because most of Ukrainians have finally decided to be repatriated in other countries where either their families are there or they avoided to go back to Ukraine for various reasons. Those who decided to go to Ukraine, I think we all have read the guidelines and we follow the same industry guidelines. So the Ukrainians, when they come to Poland or Romania or any of these locations, we provide them, of course, with accommodation. We have help centers, which we have established in all of these countries neighboring to Ukraine. So they have, we have our agencies who are providing help, providing accommodation, transportation, definitely for the families also who are refugees from Ukraine. We have also set up a relief fund, which also is funding these actions. And recently we have also established sanctuaries, meaning we have like accommodation which is fully reserved for the families of our seafarers. So these are a lot of efforts which we have done from the beginning. When it comes to the payment of the Russians, Terence, luckily so far not all the banks are under sanction. So there are a couple of banks which are not involved in these sanctions, and we have recommended to our seafarers to open bank accounts if they are not already in these banks, and the payments are actually done in that way. So far I can say we are managing.
Very good. That's great. I think Colombia really spent a lot of effort to take care of the Ukraine crew and also try to manage the payment for the Russian crew on board. Both nationalities can work on board the same ship well. That's really a great job. It's not that easy. Thank you very much, Captain Faouzi. So, Captain Lim, we know Wallenius is actually a leading car carrier ship owner. So would you please share with us in your segment, so your challenges, what's your experience in managing the current green issues?
Yeah. Thank you, Terence, and hello to the panelists. Happy to be here. Yeah, for Wallenius Marine, we have about 21 vessels. All of them are car carriers. we manage about 650 crew, not as big group as the other panelists have. But mostly for ours, they are Filipinos. They make up about 65%. Then we have Burmese. We have some Swedish, Singaporean, and Malaysian. This make up about the remaining 35% of the pool. So mainly the main pool is still coming from the Philippines. And all our vessels are trading worldwide. They are under TC charter and they have different route. Japan to Australia, you have round the globe trading, you have Atlantic trading and Pacific trading. So for round the world trading are mostly those bigger vessels that can carry tractors and all that. And those are short sea trip are usually saloon cars. So they are going in different areas. And for this Ukraine and Russia, the war, I wouldn't say it do not have any effect on us because we do not have Russian or Ukrainian crew. But because of this crew shortage, we are worried that other company may poach the crew or go to Philippines or go to other areas to draw the crew. Then the crew wages will increase. But this is too early to say. But this is one of the contingency plan that we are preparing just in case this thing happen, where to look for alternate crew and where other areas that we can venture into. And as far as COVID is concerned, like every one of you mentioned, the restriction has been reduced for most of the country, except a few of them. But China is still the main one that have very strong restriction. And in fact, some of them have lockdowns. And we have new building in China. We have problem to get our people into China to bring out the vessel. So we have no choice sometimes to employ China crew. But at the moment for China crew, the wages are very high as compared to other nationality. And usually these contracts are for short trip to at least bring out the ship from China and later do a crew change. So since Terence, you are dealing with China crew, then maybe you should look into this, how to have a good discussion with all those owners that are building ship in China to make it a more viable solution rather than most of the owner only employ as a short-term contract. And after when the ship left China to another port, then they disembark the China crew.
Thank you very much, Captain Lim. Thank you for your sharing. Just let me know if you have any issue in China. Definitely, we can do our part. So first, we must help you deliver your ship out of China. So then, of course, I will share with all of you my observation on Chinese crew after our discussion. Thank you very much, Captain Lim, for your sharing. So, okay, I have one question maybe for both Captain Farid and Captain Ashish. So, these few years, we can see the market like container ship making very good profits. And of course, the tanker side a little bit suffering. But actually, because of the crewing shortage, what we can see very, of course, not only for Chinese, I think most of the nationalities, we can see an increase of their salary cost, especially for the repatriation cost. Because of the COVID, is really very costly. I think many of us, we have over our budget for crew change. So I would like to invite Farid and Ashish, please share with how do you manage your crewing cost in the pandemic period, And moving forward, what do you think? Do you foresee the crew salary will continue to increase because of the shortage caused by the Ukraine and Russian conflict? So maybe Farid, you speak first.
Thank you, Terence. I firmly believe this is a business risk that I think every good business should look at. Events happen, black swan or no swan. The pandemic, the conflict, and it's how as an industry we manage it. I think the transportation costs has at the initial stages of the pandemic, where companies were chartering flights to do crew changes because the crews were really overdue. It was an extremely high cost, but like Captain Faouzi has said, we have overcome, we have managed it, and we have managed to do the crew changes and bring a semblance of normality back on board. So I think this is a business cost that we need to look at as the conditions change. The pandemic has brought in those challenges. The crew cost in terms of transportation, logistics, the number of PCR tests, differing countries ranging from $50 to, in some places, $500 for a PCR test has really changed the dynamics of the crew cost. And as ship managers, it is up to us to work with the owners, work with our masters, work with our agents, work with all the stakeholders in the full logistics spectrum to see how best we can manage this. We are seeing the flight, especially the air transportation, coming back to some sort of normality. Countries are opening up. We see the change in prices, so that is helping us. The reduction of crew that is returning will definitely have an impact on the crew costs. I think the bumper harvest that the container ships are having, it is also very clear that they're doing these bonuses or increases as a one-off. And they're saying that very clearly, that it's not a sustainable way to go forward. So we need to put that in perspective. I think on the energy sector, we are feeling the pain a little bit more. I think the key is to retain our crew, to retain our long-serving, loyal crew, and to ensure that they can see a future, a sustainable future, not a one-off that will actually impact this. So yes, we will see an increase in crew cost, the logistics part, and the wages, but this is going to be driven by the business. And as good businesses, we need to manage this as a business risk and move forward.
Thank you, Farid. But now it looks like the tanker section also, the freight is starting getting better. I wish you have a better budget this year. So what about your side, Captain Ashish?
Yeah, thanks, Terence. I think Captain Farid is well explained, right? It's the business, and our job is to also support that. And there will always be ups and downs. So from a container market, as Maersk, we're doing quite well, on the freight side. So that just gives a bit of a leeway. But on the other hand, if we narrow down on the crew cost, no doubt it is taking a beating, right? And it's taking a beating for everyone else. And there were reasons beyond everyone's control. If flights were reduced and PCR test fees and multiple testing, etc. But I think important for us at that point of time was to see how many seafarers can we get them home on time to their families, because that also results is they will come back on time. If not 100%, you have a larger percentage coming back. But if they were to do extended period on board, then they would want an extended leave at home, right? And then you start to have a pool deficit over there. And at that point of time, I don't think there was a pool to go and poach, because everyone was having that problem, right? And in spite of having a high travel cost, you really could not increase your wages budget also, right? So it was tough time, but I think it was really good to see that the industry focused on the seafarers first at that time. And yes, we felt a lot of governments were strict, but as an industry, if it was Maersk or if it was Eaglestar or Captain Faouzi and his team, I'm sure everyone focused is how do I look after my seafarers? They are my priority. Seafarers are heroes, right? I think after a long time, I have seen at least where all the shipping companies got together. And they forgot that we are rivals in container shipping or this, but how can we push together? So I think that was a strong point over there, and we have reaped benefit out of that also. Whereas some rules were changed when we went as the industry rather than as one company. So cost was high, and now the issue I see with the Ukraine war is, I think we have to be careful, right? We don't overreact to it, because we also see quite a few Ukrainian seafarers joining back now. Those who are staying in Romania, Poland, having got their family settled down, they're joining back, right? Those who are signing off, who are in a comfortable position, want to come back. Some want to stay on board. So yes, 100% will not come back, but a decent population would come up, right? So we really have to be mindful in order not to resolve it in 1 month. It will take maybe have patience 3-4 months to see how the war or the conflict progresses. How soon can we get them back, right? So I think I would say a bit of patience is required rather than we start to increase the cost over there. But and this is again going to put challenge in the pool. Why? Because a lot of people don't want to come. Those who are at a certain age would like to retire early because they see a risk with COVID, right? And the youngsters, are they really motivated to come out? And the way I see is, for example, dual fuel engine vessels coming out with the need and demand increasing on technology. We need a higher competence level who's coming into the shipping, right? Whereas that's really not the case. A lot of them want to go to a shore job where they can have a cushy job, at least go in the morning, come back in the evening, and go out and meet their friends. So shipping is, I think, at a point where we want good talent. We want the talent level to become better, but the source of getting them is going to be a challenge, right? And how fast we can together is try to see as we really make it attractive enough. We do that. For example, I can also share from a diversity angle. We are looking a lot on getting a female seafarers, right? And again, it's just not for us. I think it's an industry thing. If we all start to make females inclusive of shipping, we increase the number there. One, we increase the pool. Second is it also gives us more flexibility and diversity out at sea. So we are also aligning how other organizations, other industries work. So cost is going to be a pressure, but I guess we need to be smart to see is not to buckle and do things in a short-term advantage, but start to look from a long-term perspective what is to be done. And I think Capt mentioned a very good point that is it one-time bonus, and this to mitigate this is going to be critical now, right? Yep. Thank you, Terence.
Thank you, Ashish. But to be honest, I can see a container line still in a very prospective future. At least this year, we can see still very bright. So maybe you are okay with the budget, right? So maybe you can anytime can increase the budget to at least overcome all these problems. What I mean, if for other sectors like anchor, of course, this year we can also the turning point. But anyway, the budget always issue for the ship owners in nowadays because there's a lot of uncertainties. But Chinese crew, we all know these few years we can see the wages have increased. Many ship owners they have to use Chinese crew because of some reasons. But overall speaking, do you think in the next couple of years, I mean the worldwide seafarers, do you think the salary will be further increased? As we know now, the equity page is more than the ITF reach in many of the companies. So what do you foresee the trend for crewing salary cost, Captain Ashish?
Yeah, I think one, we have to accept salary will increase. The inflation is increasing, right? But at what level would it increase is critical over here. And I think companies would start to look at alternate sourcing areas. Where can we develop sourcing areas? Are we limited just to a few countries which we have known in the past, or do we want to venture out to some of the Southeast Asian countries? Can we start building up a pool over there? And I'm sure they will come at a cost which should help manage that, right? So it's quite important that we broaden our horizon. I think also COVID has shown, for example, is those who have had different nationalities have been able to manage it better. Those who were stuck with one nationality got stuck. If Philippines shut down, for example, then we were in trouble, right? But to those who had a varied nationality could play around and with a lot of nationalities and manage it. So I think I would see is the expansion increasing, maybe some more countries coming in as sourcing pool in the near future, which we need to do, and we need to keep costs under control because today, yes, inflation is going, container market is doing well, tankers may be doing well, but it's not something which is going to last next 10 years, right? So I think we have to be very mindful. How do we look at this? As I said, we cannot go for a short-term thing. We have to be on a long-term solution. What works fine for us, we need to work on that, right? Be smart on this.
Yeah, I fully agree, Ashish. I think now we all realize we cannot put all eggs into one basket. So by diversifying our green sources is a key for our human capital management. Now there's another question because the Russian-Ukraine conflict. Now we can see the difficulties to employ seafarers from these two countries. We know Russian and Ukrainian producing very good quality of officers. So according to the BIMCO report, these two countries all come together count about 14.5% of the world seafarers population. So assuming if the conflict continue for a certain number of months, maybe longer, so obviously there will be a shortage, there will be a gap in front of us. So as every ship owners or ship managers, we have to plan ahead how actually we can try to do our part to make sure our pool of crew are stable, able to meet the fleet requirement. Is there any good experience all of us here can share with maybe
yeah. Terence, can I just take a minute on that, right? But I think we also have to be mindful. Yes, we may not have the Ukrainian and Russians come, right? But the trade with these two countries will also reduce, right? Would we have the same number of vessels on the water is to be seen. We would also start to see a reduction on the vessels out at sea, right? There could be increased recycling because the trade has gone down. So you would also see with the trade going down, number of vessels being reduced, that would some percentage population of seafarer requirement would also go down. So it would be, a bit naive to say all ships will continue sailing. We would see a requirement going down. So I think that balance is very important to be understood before we start to create panic over there. There will be shortage, no doubt, but to what extent, I think that's important to consider.
Yeah, thank you, Captain Ashish. Ari?
Yeah, if I can add on to Captain Ashish as well, I think it's not a passport that you hold. I think shipping is a global resource center. It's the strategy that the company has in managing geopolitical issues and the pandemic. I think if you have a good risk management perspective, it's about finding the right strategy to manage it. In our case, we've been very, very clear that for many years that we should not focus our risk on only one nationality or one area. So spreading the risk is really critical. And we are doing this not only nationality-wise, but also from a skills perspective. Our concept of a universal seafarer means that we can actually put them on an oil tanker or a gas tanker or an ethane carrier. So we have the flexibility to actually manage the resource pool. And that has to come in right from the training part. we are fortunate that we have our own training center, Alam, in Malacca, in Malaysia. Using that as a center of expertise, we are actually cross-skilling our seafarers. It's been very successful. We then have actually the capability and ability to transfer our seafarers right across. And that gives us the ability to manage the risk as it comes through. And I think, I believe firmly that this is going to be the future, because with modernization, with the way the technology is moving really quickly, a lot more shipping companies, a lot more training centers, maritime centers are actually looking at this to cross-skill and diversify the skill for our seafarers. So you then can utilize the seafarers at any time in a need, at the right time, at the right place.
Thank you, Farid. So Faouzi, in Columbia Ship Management, we know you have a big pool of crew from many different countries. So it's really not an easy job to retain our crew, which actually most of the time we need to do so. So can you share with us how Columbia take care of your seafarers? What kind of benefit, training, strategy do you have? Maybe you can share with the panel.
Exactly. Thanks, Terence. I think also just to add a few words on what my colleagues were saying. I mean, diversifying the recruitment sources and the skills is extremely important going forward. But however, we all know that until today, all the shipping industry has focused in very much similar recruitment or manpower sources, and any diversity will need a lot of effort. So it's a bit of medium-term to long-term solution, but it's not an immediate solution. Retention, Terence, is an extremely important factor during crisis time, especially when you cannot control the wages. As we said, the wages increase, and where there are offers coming from left, right, and center to your best officers, and which also you cannot control, and especially as a ship manager. And I think that retention helped us a lot and worked in our benefit, because an officer who's offered a couple of thousands more per month would not leave the company just to make a short contract or two with another company who he or she doesn't know and not familiar with, and so on and so forth. So how the retention is built? For me, in my opinion, retention is built over a long time, many years. It's a culture. It's by giving a lot of feeling of ownership to the crew. They feel that they're part of the ownership of the company. They feel that they belong to the company. They're heard. Their voices are heard. So we give a lot of opportunities to our officers and ratings to communicate to the company. I don't know if you will believe, Terence, that every seafarer in Colombia has the mobile number of our CEO. Just to give you one example, which I don't think it's available across all other companies, whatever, maritime or non-maritime in general. Our crew, they have no hesitation to share their thoughts, their concerns, their complaints with us, either anonymously, so through the hotlines, through the open reporting systems, or openly if they want to call any of the management team. So that's extremely important. Two is the welfare. We spoke a lot about mental health when COVID started. Colombia, we started offering mental health support 24/7 to our seafarers way before COVID came in. We certainly didn't know that COVID was coming. So it was something that we decided in advance, because I mean, I've been sailing, and I think all my colleagues here been sailing for many years. It is extremely challenging to be sailing. And nowadays with internet, with connectivity, it's getting better, but also harder psychologically. Yeah. So you are basically living like you are at home. So internet is the second point. We made sure that our crew have free internet, free access to internet. across all the fleet, which is actually a huge advantage to keep the seafarers feeling happy. So we try to balance between the information they get, and definitely how to say a crew who has a good cook on board is sometimes extremely sensible thing, and we made sure that our cooks are well trained, that the menus which are offered on board are also healthy, they are diverse, and we respect, of course, the culture of people, of the crew who are on board in this regards. Of course, there were many initiatives which we have done, and I'm sure many of them are shared among my colleagues as well. But Terence, I think the best thing I can say is to keep the crew engaged.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of webinars. We get the crew online.
Yeah.
We get hundreds of people or small groups, depends what we want to discuss. We do a lot of competitions, fitness. We provide the ships with new fitness tools. They do a lot of fitness and training. Training is extremely important because training is the way how they can push their career forward, and how we can help them to push their career forward. And we started also before COVID, we started implementing our e-learning and learning management system, and we have like 15,000 subscribers on our platform. And there's a lot of content which they have. Only little of it is mandatory, and the rest is really a free open source of learning and education. So I think it's a package. And this package, as you can understand, Terence, is increasing. Like now we are adding telemedicine and a lot of other services. So I think we need to do a lot around the human center here. And this is what we focus around.
Thank you very much, Captain Faouzi, for sharing with us. I'm sure here all our panelists are very good employees. Definitely you have your way to take care of your people, make sure your retention rate up to expectation. So actually time is almost up. My last question I would like to ask Captain Lim. So Captain Lim actually is a chairman of SMEF. We know now Singapore is a maritime hub. We have MPA. Captain Lim always representing the employers to talk to our regulator and talk to our association for our ship owners benefit. So what do you think, what next Singapore will be doing? Of course, now recently we have seen MP already have some new notice for crew change convenience. Would you like to see something in general about the Singapore side? Could you leave your mic?
Yeah, for the Singapore context and as SMEF, we have frequent meeting with the unions, with MPA to discuss how to improve for Singapore. And we find that especially for the last 2 years, most ship manager, they are doing their best for the welfare, just like what Farid have just mentioned and all that, to the seafarers. They do all whatever is possible to engage with the crew, even have frequent meeting through teams with the vessel. And we know that the vessel is worldwide, so we try to break into different time slot so that some crew, some of the vessel can attend the meeting where the others can attend later, and we broadcast the same information to them. So within 1-2 days, all the vessel will receive the same information and all that. But somehow each individual manager, for me, they are working in a way like silo. If we can bring all together, all these ship manager into one room and really discuss what each have done and share the information before we distribute it out to the whole vessel, that will improve whether it's training or welfare much better than each individual ship manager is doing for themselves. Because like now, when we do the discussion, we can hear that each of us is trying to do their best, but there is certain value that we have not done, that you have mentioned or the panelists have mentioned, that we can improve for our vessel, and likewise for the others. So that is very important, and going forward, talking to MPA and talking to union, maybe they should arrange more frequent manager sitting together to have a closed door meeting within the panel or within the forum to bring up each individual manager as individual when they train up their whatever for crew training or improvement of the crew's health, their welfare and all that. So this is one key point that I should bring it up later when we have such a meeting. And for Singapore side, for the discovered, no doubt they are trying to soften the restriction and when go back to normal as a norm. But at this moment, the crew coming to Singapore for crew change is not as much as other country, because there's still certain restriction between the Singapore stakeholder that have to come to a common decision that they all agree to have the crew do certain test requirement and all that before they can join the vessel. And this part we are continuing to discuss with MPA and maybe MOM, see how we can improve it.
Thank you very much, Captain Lim.
Yeah.
So I believe under your leadership, Singapore SMEF definitely can be more active, can do for the Singapore shipping industry.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. So time really run very fast. We are nearly, I think, 50 minutes over. So, okay, before going to the conclusion, I'd like to share my observation on the current situation. So this part we have touched. So as we all know, due to the zero policy, foreign crew cannot fly into China and also cannot sign off to China. So China has a big number of seafarers, but many Chinese sea crew, they fear the COVID situation out of China and choosing to stay at home and reluctant to join ocean-going ships. At the same time, many foreign ship owners have to employ Chinese crew to deliver their new builds in China. So which resulted in a heavy shortage of Chinese crew, especially last year. And as a consequence, of course, you can see the Chinese crew green cost was at the highest end in the history. But from March this year, we can see the situation has been changing. Chinese crew's expectation on salary gradually becoming more realistic. The reason is that COVID situation has been improving worldwide. Ship owners have more options for doing their ship. At the same time, more Chinese crew are available now and willing to join ocean ships. So the demand and supply for Chinese crew is moving to a balance. So though at the present moment, China still keeps its zero COVID policy, it is very unlikely this policy will last too long, given the fact that most of the countries in the world are opening up. So we wish the restriction in China would be eased in the near future. So in the post-pandemic period, personally, I believe Chinese crew remain employable and competitive. So while you see the global shortage of quality seafarers, especially officers, seems still the biggest challenge in the industry, both for short-term and long-term. So I wish our panelists here, you will continue to employ Chinese crew, retain your Chinese crew. Or those having yet to use Chinese crew, you may have a try. Okay, coming to the end of discussion, a very big thank you and our panelists. Though our panelists are extremely busy, yet they take their time to share about the current crewing situation on the vessels. They also share about the challenges they are facing and how they manage the crew. We have heard them. It has been insightful, and personally, I have many takeaways from the panel discussion. I hope you have your takeaways too. So crewing is always very challenging, but by hearing from each other, sharing the information, practicing good ethics, and consistently engaging with the regulators to improve crewing practices, I'm sure we all can overcome the difficulties that we are facing now. Thank you everyone for your time and participation in today's discussion. Stay safe and good luck to you all always. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.